Hey guys, StarCraft and Ingrid here, and well, continuing our little Gamera. Is it in the shot? I can't tell.
Yes, it is.
Okay, our little Gamera marathon. We're moving on now to Gamera, Gamera 2, Attack of Legion. So let's see if they can top the near perfectionness of the first one. Same director, some of the same cast is around, but they're gonna move the story forward in another direction. Let's just see how it goes. See you on the other side. But let me ask, what are you looking forward to?
My expectations are pretty open, honestly. They've definitely left a lot of interesting threads to pick up on from the first one, so it'd be interesting to see, hey, how does this end up going further? Are there other Gayos in the world? Are there maybe things other than the Gayos, or maybe have the Gayos mutated into something worse? Who knows?
Exactly. Now, do you expect the same balance, or do you think that might have been a fluke and we might get more, either more humans or more monsters?
I'm cautiously optimistic about maintaining the same balance in this movie.
All right, now we'll see you on the other.
The giant turtle Gamera, certainly one of the most controversial subjects of our time. Earlier in our program, you stated the belief that Gamera could in fact exist.
That decision was made by the Commander-in-Chief. I do know that if Gamera exists, our world is about to face a calamity of enormous proportion.
Hey guys, we're back and we got a visitor here.
Yeah. Hey, say hi, Trouble.
Hi, Trouble. So, yeah, we just got done with Gamera 2, Attack of Legion, and...
Wow, that was really something.
Would you say it was better or just about on par?
I'd say that it was on par. There were some areas it was definitely stronger, but some areas where it kind of fell a bit more flat. But I would say it's roughly equal. Especially
with the dub. It felt like the dub here. Some of the actors were really good. Others were like, were they phoning it in or something? It felt a little just flat. But overall, this was a great sequel. And from what I just read up on the little booklet that's in the set, in this booklet here that has information about what went into the movies, that this was done because in '95 they had an earthquake and a gas attack that happened, and you kind of get the feeling that influenced this movie, didn't it? Yeah, let's just say they have no holds barred with showing some of the destruction and some of the, well, quite frankly, mangling, maiming, and quite frankly, sometimes outright body horror at times. Yep, which some of the areas you didn't mention on the first one was the use of practical effects in the movies. You know, made you more queasy on the first one. And here, well, nothing really that queasy here. It was still freaking amazing. Yeah. Legion suit and all that. I mean, the point where you thought it was CGI, but in the right way we did, didn't we? Yeah, but basically throughout the whole plot of this one, that an alien bug race has landed on Earth. And basically they're trying to take over, and they're just, you know, hive-minded. They don't care if they're going to kill anyone on Earth. They just want to produce, reproduce, and then spread on. Little they know, though, of course, their form of reproducing is very volatile. Because they appear to have a symbiotic relationship with some kind of plant species that more or less, its seed pods more or less explode to propel it at very high things. So that could very easily destroy various cities and settlements and whatnot. Exactly, and because it releases pure oxygen, it's the bigger reason. It's because it releases pure oxygen at such a level that, yeah, it would just nuke a whole city. And Gamera shows up pretty late into it, actually. Yeah, for the most part, it spends a lot of the time building the threat of the Legion itself. Now, there's one downside. We don't get as much of the reaction from the people this time around. Not as much as the first one. That felt like they did lose that. It felt like they focused more on the military and all that, but less on how this affected the people, per se. Now, there were some interesting things, like a bunch of individual people got spared by the monsters. They never really explained that, did they? No, that's just kind of something that just got dropped. Yeah, and then we have the detective guy. He's back in here for a little bit, and he's a complete goof. Like, why does shit keep happening to me? There was a bit more cursing in this one, I noticed. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but not in a bad way. It was ways that made sense. Like, oh shoot,
this thing could take out all of humanity if we're not careful.
Oh, at the very end, yeah, where they've made very clear Gamera, which they still keep the whole friend to old children aspect, more so than they did the first one, where a bunch of kids and, geez, what's her name again?
Asagi.
Asagi, where she's back, and yeah, they're there just watching as he's trying to heal himself, and their kids are all there just like, oh, come on, Gamera. And that, I'll be honest, that did feel a little bit, like, it was fine, but felt a little, like, what the heck, didn't it? Like, what are these kids doing here? I mean, we know about the kids that were on that field trip, but that was weeks ago. These can't be the same kids. So it just felt a little bit like they put it in there almost like as a nod to what came before. It was still a lot better than what was done in the Showa era, but again, just felt a little unneeded, don't you think? Like, you could have had it fine with just Asagi there.
Yeah.
But you didn't need all those kids there being like, oh, Gamera's just sleeping, sweetie. Is he gonna wake up soon? I mean, that was heartbreaking, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, he's gonna wake up. But what I really like here is that I felt like Gamera and humanity worked together to defeat Legion. Because you had both the Legion swarm and then you had the Queen.
Well, I mean, they call it the big one, but let's face it, it was a queen.
Yeah, it was a queen. I mean, well, according to most things online, they call it the Queen Legion. But yeah, and it was, good lord, the practical effects on that thing were just amazing.
Yeah.
So, for this one, it feels like it took things it took things a bit further, but it also just felt like a monster of the week, didn't it? The only real good thing about it, though, it shows that people are evolving in how they handle stuff with Gamera. They're like, okay, Gamera's here. Let's not attack him this time, and let's see if he can deal with it. And then when Gamera fails, they're like, oh, crud, we gotta do it on our own. So, we got one more in this trilogy, and then we're going to actually watch the last one of this whole era, Gamera the Brave. But what are you expecting for the next one, the grand finale? Like,
honestly, I don't really know.
Do you think Gayos is going to return, or do you think they're just going to ignore him?
I think the most logical thing at this point would have to be, like, you've had a threat from the past, a threat from outer space. What if we have a case where humanity itself caused the threat that Gamera now has to fight? Because that was teased at the very end, that it was a protector of all life on Earth, so if humanity kept destroying it, Gamera might get mad, so that just seems like the logical next place to go to finish out the trilogy.
Perhaps.
From the past, from elsewhere, from us.
Exactly.
In the present.
Yep. Although, for all we know, it could be a matter of multiple factors for all we know. It could be Gayos and humanity. Who knows? Maybe it could be something else from Atlantis. Or whatever that civilization was. But I hope we get a bit more expanding on his backstory, if you ask me. I hope we get at least a little bit more, because it's still a bit up in the air. Like, for example, his big final attack he did in the end of this movie. What was that?
Yeah, like, suddenly we saw a bunch of, like, energy being drawn from all around the Earth.
And he opens up his chest and then blasts it, and he opens up his chest and then wham! It's like,
just like, did Gamera just go Super Saiyan or something, huh?
I know, it's like, it was a cannon, that was for sure, but it's like, why didn't he open up with that thing? Oh well, we'll find out on the next one as we wrap up this initial trilogy, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one. See you tomorrow.